Hey guys, it's finally time for my review of the Kershaw Leek, and this is a very good knife, and I've put it through a lot of testing. I've been carrying it for probably the past, off and on for probably the past 6 or 7 months. When I say I've been carrying it for however long, realize guys that I have a lot of knives and I switch almost constantly, but it's been in the mix for probably 6 or 7 months, and I've grown to really like it. There's a few things that really bug me about it, but overall it's a very good knife. So probably the main role there's several main roles that this could really fulfill. First of all, I'm going to put it as a collectible, first and foremost, because I think there's a lot of very cool versions of the Kershaw Leek out there. It's assisted opening, which a lot of people really like, including myself. I mean, it's just fun. It's just cool. Just as a fondling knife, just something just to sit there and play with. It's fun, and to have a collection of several of these, different colorations, versions, maybe even different steels if you bought them at different times. That's just cool. So first and foremost, a collectible knife. Secondly, an everyday carry knife, and that's what I've been using it for, and it works very well as an everyday carry knife. For probably what I'd term medium to light duty everyday carry. If you want something really heavy duty, this is not what you're looking for. But it can go and do stuff a little tougher than you think it could do, is kind of what I found out. Definitely, I mean, not a tactical knife. It just doesn't have, enough traction or anything like that. I mean, obviously, it could be pressed into that role if you were in an emergency and this is all you had. It'd be deadly. I'd probably hold it reverse grip just because you get the most grip. It has a wicked point on there and it's razor sharp. So it could definitely act as an emergency defensive tool, but I wouldn't carry it for that. So, your blade on here is made out of 14C28N steel, Sandvik steel, and I gotta tell you, I'm very impressed with the steel. With my use in it in this knife and in the Kershaw Skyline, I gotta tell you, it's a great steel. I would say approaching S30V. I don't know if in a head-to-head competition if it could really beat out S30V. I doubt it. But I gotta tell you, it's a very good steel. It goes absolutely crazy sharp, and part of that is due to the very thin blade design. Crazy sharp, and it holds the edge a good long while. I did an awful lot of cardboard cutting with this, and it cut up a lot of cardboard before it went dull. So you have very good edge retention, and it's easy to resharpen. That's another thing. And I haven't had any corrosion issues on it at all. And this is a bead blast finish, so it's a little more susceptible to corrosion. Now I have to say I haven't really put it in a lot of super moist environments. It's just been in my pocket, but I haven't had any issues with it. So your blade shape on here is something that it's more of just kind of a Warren Cliff style, almost. There's a little belly in it, very little though. And this is really not a blade shape that I've used a lot and that I'm very familiar with. Normally, I go something much more like the Kershaw Skyline, the Buck Vantage Select Small, things with a lot of belly, much more traditional kind of blade shapes, is what I trend towards. So this was, a little bit of a experiment by me. I wanted to see, how this performed, and I got to say it performed excellently. It has a paper-thin tip on there, very weak, very fragile tip. But I tested the tip. I wanted to see how, how tough is that tip really gonna be. And so I did some cardboard stabbing tests, and this also tested the lock. I basically just took a bunch of layers of cardboard and just jabbed it in there a bunch of times, and I haven't really babied it at all. I've just used it to do all the tasks I need it to do, and so far the tip's held up. It's still there, which I was a little surprised. I thought cardboard stabbing it went into dirt a few times. I thought for sure I'm at least going to blunt my tip or something, Nope, it's still there in all its needle-like glory. So, I'm pretty surprised about that. Now, obviously, if you're trying to break it, stab it into a 2x4 and bend your knife over and stuff, obviously you can break it if you try. But, it's not just going to fall off. Now, your blade is hollow ground. So it's a very thin blade stock. It's hollow ground, and that makes it absolutely razor sharp. And I use the Spyderco Sharp Maker to resharpen mine, and I've loved that I've been able to take it back to the scary sharpness time and time again. I've dulled it several times, and it's easy to resharpen. Now, it is speed safe opening, which is excellent. So you can use this flipper, which is very cool, or you can use your thumb stud, which I generally tend to do, mostly just because I'm used to kind of reaching here, either for like a hole on a Spyderco or for like a stud on like a Benchmade. That's just what I'm used to. I'm not used to all these flipper designs that seem to be coming out. But you choose whatever you like. As far as blade play, there is just a hair side to side, just a hair. It's very good. Generally, I think you'll get at least a hair in a assisted opening knife, but it's very good. And your handle construction on this specific one, there are some liner lock versions. This one is a frame lock, which is very, very nice. I've used it a lot, and that's about the engagement that I'm getting, probably about 50%. When I first got it, it was more like this, which I wasn't crazy about. So, but it has worn in to about like that. So that's cool. And, it's a lot of your strength of your frame lock. It's not just your engagement, but it's also how thin it gets here. So, it's not the strongest lock ever, but I think it'll definitely be adequate for most of your uses. And, these are all metal handles. And normally, again, I'm not a big fan of the metal handles. You gotta believe me, guys, this was kind of an out there purchase for me. This is not kind of the form factor that I normally buy when I'm looking for a pocket knife. So it is all steel handles. And, I'm not crazy about it. I prefer probably like a G10, but I gotta say they haven't been bad. And I love how thin it keeps the knife. It really keeps it a very thin knife, and the weight's really not an issue because it comes in right around 3 ounces, which is really not bad, and it does give it a somewhat solid, well-built feel. So if you're somebody that just thinks like the solid plastic handles, like on the Atlantic Salt, like Spyderco, or the SOGs, if you just don't like that plasticky feel, this is a good option. It's all steel, but it's still relatively lightweight. You do have a Zytel spacer in the back, right there. But you can, blow lint or stuff out of there if you need to. So that's nice. And you have a little safety here if you're worried about it opening in your pocket. That just slides over the tip of the blade like that. You can take that off if you want to. Now, here is the pocket clip. This is the real issue I have with the knife. And the reason that it just makes it hard for me to carry. I love pretty much everything else about it. The metal handles doesn't really bother me. The blade rocks. But the clip, oof, I just don't like it. It's too long, first of all. It's just too big of a clip. They could shorten it up and make it end about here, and that'd be so much better. It rides much better tip down, obviously, as you can see, it much deeper. If you try to ride it tip up, which is what I tried to do initially, you have a whole lot sticking out of your pocket. And I wish they'd done more of like a loop design, similar to like this Gerber AR 3.0. This is a much better clip. Or, like the Buck Vantage, something like this, deep carry. And I understand they couldn't have done that without going over their safety. But you know what? I'd rather a deep clip than the safety, because I'm not too worried about this opening in my pocket. I'm just not. I don't think it's going to happen. But, You know, that's what they wanted. But at least give me a deep carry pocket clip for tip down. Because even there, you still got that much sticking out, which is not, you know, that's not really deep carry. So, the pocket clip's not great. It also, it just kind of sticks up a little, and I don't know, maybe it's just my hands, but when I'm holding this knife, this portion right here of the clip just kind of sticks me in the hand, in the fingers, and it just kind of rubs on me, and it's just not comfortable. It's just not really ergonomic, the clip. So I think if they improve the clip, that'd greatly improve the design. Now they do have, getting into different versions of this, they do have some very cool versions. They have one with like a D2 steel fused to like I don't know if it's like a 420 or something, but that looks very cool. However, I do know that D2 is, I think, probably a little more brittle than this steel, so be careful on that tip. It might be even more susceptible to breakage. And then they have the liner lock versions with the aluminum scales. Those look cool, but I kind of like the Allura, just like the thinness and the frame lock. Now these are coming right around 40 bucks. I believe it was like 37 on Amazon.com today when I checked. So obviously these prices are, you know, as of when I'm shooting the video, which is late August 2011. But so, you know, it's not like a you know, it's not a $20 folder, but I gotta tell you, it's very, very high value. It's worth every cent. Mostly because of the blade and the assisted opening. It's cool, it's fun to play with, and it's razor sharp. So, you know, I gotta say it's a great knife. And by the way, guys, when I was talking about the clip, I also took the clip off and tried carrying it in my pocket with just a lanyard on here, and it was just too big in the pocket. It just kind of always went sideways in the bottom of your pocket. So, I don't know what I'll end up doing with it, but I'll probably just stop carrying it because there's so many great options out there. I'll probably start carrying my Skyline. But, you know, it's well worth the money. And it's made in the USA, which a lot of people really like, especially people that don't want to buy foreign-made knives. So made in the USA, that's a huge plus. And I'll give you a quick size comparison to some other stuff. Skyline. Here's the Spyderco Persistence. Definitely a much better steel than the Persistence. I mean, here's the Delica. The Atlantic Salt. Gruber AR 3.0. Benchmade Mini Griptilian. Benchmade full-size Griptilian. How many knives should I do here? Here you go. H&K 14205. I don't know. We'll go Victorinox Deluxe Tinker. How about, here we go. How about a Sharpie marker? And we'll throw in a Bic lighter. Very thin. So there it is, guys. I think it's high value. It's good quality. Thin, light, sleek. Surgical precision on that knife blade tip. That's pretty much the best way I could describe it, as a surgical precision. Definitely about this knife. So, hope that was helpful, guys. A little long of a review, I guess, but that's the way it goes. So, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, and everyone have a nice day.